Calories in versus calories out. So I think it's a fairly common idea that if we want to change our body composition, depending on how we want to do that, whether it's lose body fat or gain lean muscle mass, we have to do something with this calories in versus calories out equation, or this energy in versus energy out balance. So in theory, we know that if more energy comes in than what is expended or burnt, then it's likely that the body will gain weight. Now, it can gain weight whether it's muscle or whether it's body fat, depending on the actual physical activity level as well. And then vice versa to this, if I expend or burn more energy than what I intake or eat, then I theoretically should lose weight. Now, this is pretty close to as what we have as scientific fact. Like, this definitely happens. We can't deny this process. However, though, there is a lot more that kind of goes into it, and there's many more factors. It's not as simple as just like, sure, eat less and move more and you'll lose weight, or eat more and move less and you'll gain weight. There is many, many, many factors into it. So for everyone that kind of knocks calories in, calories out, you're kind of wrong. It's definitely a real thing. But those who are like, it's just calories in and calories out, you're also kind of wrong too. So what we need to do is actually bring each other together and look at the commonalities and how they both work together, and how it kind of works in real life. So when we're looking at energy in, so we're kind of talking about the food and drink that we take in, that we consume. These calories get absorbed by the body and we use for all bodily functions. Basically, we need that energy to survive. So again, as we said, in theory, if I eat more calories than what my body burns over time, I should gain weight, theoretically. However, there's a couple of factors that actually influence how much comes in and how much then eventually gets absorbed and what happens to it. So the first one is appetite, which is heavily influenced by certain hormones, actually most hormones, which regulate your appetite and satiety. So there is two main ones, leptin and ghrelin, but then they can be affected by many other hormones. Hormones kind of work as a big circuit of feedback loops. So if one's high, other one's low, and if this is higher, then something else needs to go higher to counterbalance. So it's this constant leveling up and down. Our body is super sophisticated and we don't really understand well enough what it does for us on a second by second basis. Another factor is food consumed. So this can actually be influenced by availability, so what you have in front of you, palatability, so what do you like to eat, energy density, so how many calories are actually in the food that you're about to consume. Sleep quality is a massive one. Education, socioeconomic status. There's a big difference in kind of food consumed if you're on the poverty line versus if you're a billionaire. And then even cultural status as well, like different cultures have different meanings around food. Then you've got actually your calories absorbed. So this can be influenced by the macronutrient intake, so the types of proteins and fats and carbs that you eat. It can be affected by food prep, so the way you prepare the food. Your own age, we absorb at different rates and different ways as we age. Personal microbiome, so your actual gut health, that'll depend on like what nutrients you actually absorb. If you have poor gut health, you might not be absorbing as many nutrients as what you think. Your general health status, and your general energy status. Then there's the psychological factors. So this can be influenced by stress, your mindset around food, your perceived control of food, your self-esteem, and again, sleep quality. Energy out. Now, I like to think that we run as this beautiful machine, so sophisticated. Like humans, we can't create this level of sophistication just yet. And when we require fuel just to run this system, if we ate nothing and drank no water, we die really quickly. Sure, we can probably not eat for a couple of weeks, but eventually, like if you don't eat at all, like you die. You need to fuel the system. It's very similar to a car. Like you need to put fuel in the car, otherwise the car doesn't start. And then obviously the more Ks that the car does, the more fuel that it burns through, and we're very similar to that. The other commonality to a car is that many things can actually influence that fuel economy as well. So if your tires are bald, if your tires are out of line, if your coolant is low, if you accelerate really fast, if you brake really hard, like there's many things that can actually influence your fuel economy. And it's the same with humans. So the first is this energy burned at rest. So we call this the basal metabolic rate. So this is just the energy you need to stay alive. So if you laid flat in a bed all day, this is how much energy you need just to be alive. This is influenced by body size, hormonal status, your dietary history. So if you diet lots, your basal metabolic rate can actually go down. Genetic factors, health status, sleep quality, and age. The next is energy burned through exercise, so through formal activity like going to the gym or playing sport. And things that influence this is your actual ability. So if you're the more efficient or the better you are at a movement, the less energy you'll actually burn. Hence why, like early on, when you're really uncoordinated and inefficient in the gym or at certain movements, you're actually burning more energy. So that actually can be a positive early on. The intensity at which you're exercising, the duration, the frequency, the type, the environment that you're actually in, as well as the hormonal status that you're currently creating and the sleep quality. The next one is what we refer to as NEAT. So non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So this is all the activity that you do, just moving around, going to work. This is influenced by health status, your energy status, stress levels, hormonal status, occupation, so what you actually do, the leisure activities that you partake in, and definitely genetic factors. The last one is the energy that you burn through metabolism. So believe it or not, every time you eat food, you're actually burning energy to break that food down, absorb it, and distribute it to the rest of the body. So this could be influenced by the macronutrient intake, so protein. So protein actually takes more energy to burn than carbs. Carbs would be the next one, and then fat's the last one. Fats doesn't take as much energy to burn. But then you throw in things like fiber, which is a lot slower. Like it takes a lot of energy to burn fiber, and you're not really using it as an energy source. You're not really actually digesting it and absorbing it. Then you've got how processed the food is. So the more processed it is, the easier it is to digest, the less energy it takes to actually, again, absorb and digest that food. Stop counting calories. So we kind of get caught up and think that, okay, well, if I want to achieve my goal, I need to count my calories. Whether it's to gain muscle or lose body fat, I need to know how many calories I'm taking in. Now, while this actually can be quite a good practice, especially if you're a more advanced either athlete or individual that has really requires very specific nutritional programming, that it can be handy. But the thing that we need to realize is that it can be so inaccurate. And it can be inaccurate for many ways. It can be inaccurate for actually our tracking, like our recall is pretty terrible. Actually what is in the food, like whether the app is actually choosing the right amount of calories that are in the food. It's just so inaccurate. And research suggests that it could be up to 30% out. So if I'm trying to stay on a 1,700 calorie diet, which puts me in a deficit, I could actually be eating 2,200 calories, which could be bump me back up to maintenance, or maybe even a little bit of surplus. So this is maybe why when you're counting calories and you feel like you're in this deficit, you're working really hard, you actually might not be. And that's not your fault at all. That's just the limitations of our technology and our understanding of energy in and energy out right now. So it's a relatively simple concept to understand, but it's not easy. So energy in and energy out, energy balance, is quite easy to understand. I'm sure you all understand that, like, yes, if I eat less and move more, I'll lose weight. Sure, cool. But it's not that easy, and you know it's not that easy. So we need to reframe this a little bit. So try and stay away from those people that just say, just do this, just move more, exercise more, do that. Just try and stay away from that, detach from that. And we're going to go through this process that actually works a lot more efficiently. It's a lot easier for you to actually execute. So this process starts with finding where you should actually start, and then identifying what skills you need to get better at that factor, and then developing practices or actions that you can take on a regular basis that develop those skills. So the first place to start is look at the factor that you would either most likely want to work on, or look at all the factors and simply rate each one on a level of importance towards your goal. Like, how important is it towards your goal? 10, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being this is the most important thing. And then also rate it on a scale of difficulty. Okay, so 1, not difficult at all. 1 is very difficult, almost impossible. And then 10 is so easy a monkey could do it. Now put these two numbers together. And the factor that has the highest number of this combination, that's the one that you should start with. That's your lowest hanging fruit. It's the most important to you, and it's the easiest for you to execute. And that's what it needs to be. It needs to be simple, something you can simply change. So let's say, for example, the factor you've kind of worked down that you need to work on is appetite regulation and satiety. So feeling fuller, sense of fullness, and you're getting a better understanding of like what happens when you're hungry and how much you need to eat to be full. So the skills that you need are that you need to regulate your eating behaviors and get a better sense of appetite awareness. So the actions that we can take, or an action that we can take to develop this skill, is to eat slowly and mindfully. And you might do this by taking a sip of water between each bite of your meals. And this is just step 1. So you would work on that maybe for 2 to 4 weeks. And once you've nailed that, then you can move to the next factor. And it would be the next one in level of importance and level of difficulty. So once you feel like you've got control over one factor, you can easily move to the next. And just follow this process. Just rinse and repeat until you've achieved your goal.